watching live. My name's Valerie, and I'm so happy to be back with you today. Today we're going to do a great recipe. We're going to make polenta with some sauteed vegetables, and I'm going to tell you all about why this is such a great and easy and affordable dish to make at home. And I'm going to talk about some of the health benefits of all the things that we're putting in this really delicious, comforting meal. I do want to mention a couple of other things. We have, for the first time in the comments after the class today, not only will we post our recipe, but we're going to post the link to a survey. It's actually going to be two surveys. One is in English and one will be in Spanish. And we would love it if any of you listening either in real time or if you're watching this as a recording after the fact could take literally 30 seconds and fill out this survey. Our goal is to learn a little bit more about what you're interested in learning and who you are and how we can make this even more exciting and interesting for all of you. So I'll remind you again at the end, but please take a moment and help us out and fill out that survey. But for now, we're going to get started with polenta with sauteed vegetables. This is a favorite dish of mine. My family, most of my family comes from northern Italy, where this is a staple. Polenta is a staple like rice is or like pasta is in southern Italy. And it's so easy and affordable to make. And if you're not familiar with what polenta is, you may also know it as grits. It's almost exactly the same thing. It's basically cooked ground cornmeal, and it's like a blank slate for all kinds of delicious flavors. You can do so much with polenta and really truly eat it like any time of day. So I'm going to start by heating up some broth to cook the polenta in. The ratio for polenta is 3 cups of liquid to 1 cup of polenta or cornmeal. So I'm using low sodium chicken broth because I couldn't find low sodium vegetable broth. So, and as you all know, if you've watched some of these episodes, you know that we're a big fan of reducing sodium wherever you can. You could also use water as well. So there's no need to get fancy with it, but I'm going to use some chicken broth just for a little extra flavor. And I'm going to bring that to a boil, which will take a few minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to cut up some vegetables and other things to put in or on top of the polenta. So you can serve polenta in 2 different ways. You can kind of serve it right as it's done cooking and it'll sort of be like a creamy mashed potato-like consistency, or you can pour it into a pan or like a loaf pan or something like that, let it harden, and then cut it into slices, and then you can do really delicious things with it, like spray it with a little or coat it with a little bit of olive oil and fry it up in a pan and get it nice and crispy. You can bake it in the oven with some Parmesan cheese sprinkled on top. There's so many ways to get creative with it. You can even like bake it, let it get crispy, and then cover it with butter and maple syrup. I grew up eating that for breakfast as a kid. It's super delicious. We're going to actually, when the polenta's done cooking, we're going to stir in some Parmesan cheese today to make it like nice and cheesy and flavorful. So this saute, I am using zucchini, red peppers, and onions, and I'm going to throw in some cannellini beans and also a little bit of spicy chicken Italian sausage, just to make it like a really hearty, substantial meal. But like many things we do here, you could do anything with this. If I was making this at home right now, I would probably put the kale and spinach that's in my refrigerator slowly wilting a slow death. I would probably toss that in here just to use it up. You could put tomatoes in. This is, if you've heard us on any of these episodes, you know that we're big fans not only of healthy cooking, but of reducing food waste. And actually today is Earth Day. We're taping this live on April 22nd, so it's Earth Day, and a good time to remind everybody about creating less waste. And meals like this are a great way to use up the things in your refrigerator that don't look so pretty anymore but are still okay to eat, because you're going to saute them up, fill them with delicious flavors, and they're going to be wonderful. So what I am doing is I'm just dicing some red pepper to make it nice and colorful. You could use any color pepper you want, or no peppers if you don't care for them. I already diced about a half an onion. I have 2 peppers, and I'm going to cut up some zucchini next. But polenta it's kind of like many porridgey type things, like foods. They're sort of considered or have been called like poor man's foods before, because they're really affordable and easy to make. You really need nothing more than the grain and some water and maybe some salt to make them actually taste really good. But I grew up eating this like once a week, and it's just so easy to cook healthfully with it, which is what makes it great from a dietitian's standpoint, because you can fill it with all sorts of delicious, healthy things. So while this is, I'm gonna wait for that to come to a boil. I'm also going to use quick cooking polenta, which is important to note. Some recipes for polenta have you cooking it for like upwards of an hour. This is going to cook in like 2 or 3 minutes. We're going to put it in, stir it, let it get thick, and it's going to be done. And that's actually a really nice benefit. There's no waiting for your food to be done in this case. All right. This is also going to be nice and colorful. If you can see that, that's going to look beautiful when it's all cooked up. I am not throwing any garlic in this, but I probably could have. Garlic kind of makes everything taste better. And this can also be a good venue for leftover meat. Like if you have leftover chicken or some ground meat that you want to toss in, really anything goes here. I'm going to get my skillet started so I can get these vegetables cooking. So I'm going to put just about a tablespoon of olive oil in my pan. Get that going. So again, you can make this a totally vegetarian dish. I was originally just going to put cannellini beans in it, but then I decided to make it a little more exciting and substantial and put some chicken sausage in it. And I am just using spicy Italian chicken sausage. This is fully cooked. If you bought uncooked sausage, you could either slice it up or take it out of the casing and just cook the meat like you would ground meat. But this is a really easy way to add just a little bit more substance to a meal. If you have folks in your house who would like a little meat with their dinner, a little extra protein. If not, this could be a vegetarian, or this can even be a wonderful vegan meal. Like I said, I'm using chicken broth because it's what I could find, but you could use water or vegetable broth and make it a wonderful vegan meal. If you didn't want to use Parmesan cheese because you were looking to make it vegan, something that's a great substitute is nutritional yeast. It's becoming more and more available, and it's a type of like flaky yeast that has a very savory flavor, almost like Parmesan cheese, and you could sprinkle some of that into it and it would be delicious. All right, I think we're ready to go here. I hear my oil sputtering. And I possibly could have used a bigger pan than this, but we'll make it work. We'll get these cooked down. So to this, I'm going to just add a little bit of salt and pepper, probably about a 1/4 teaspoon of each. If I was making this at home again, I would probably also use the basil that is slowly wilting in my fridge. You could add parsley, anything you'd like to this. All right, and while that cooks, my broth just came to a boil. So I am going to add a cup of the cornmeal or polenta. I'm going to whisk this. One thing to be careful of if you've never made this before is once it starts thickening, it can sputter, and you want to just be careful that you don't let that sputter on you because it's going to be very hot. So that's going to cook up in a minute. Actually, my favorite way to eat polenta is to cook it, let it cool, cover it with cheese, and bake it and get it all crispy. I know that's, as a dietitian, I shouldn't say that, but I do love cheese, and that is it's almost like making the polenta the base of a pizza, which you can do as well. And for those of you who don't eat gluten, it's a great base for a gluten-free pizza. It's not going to hold its firmness the way a pizza crust would. I don't know if you can see there's like little sputters coming out of here. That's what you want to be careful of. So you're not going to be able to necessarily pick it up like a pizza slice, but it's really delicious and easy. It's more of a fork and knife type of pizza. All right, so I'm going to turn the heat off, and what you can see is that got thick really fast. No simmering for an hour here. So what I'm going to do is now add a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, just grated Parm cheese. And just whisk that in. And that's it. I'll check it for seasoning. I'll probably add a little black pepper, but because of the cheese, you really don't need to put much salt in it. All right, half of the meal done. We're going to let these veggies get a little softer. So again, for those of you just joining, my name is Valerie. You're watching Learning Kitchen Live, and we're making a cheesy polenta with a vegetable saute to go on top. And I mentioned right at the beginning that we're doing a new thing this week, and after the class is finished filming, we're going to put not only the recipe in the comments, but we're going to put the links to a survey in the comments. There'll be 2 links, one for English, one for Spanish. And we would love it if you would take 30 seconds to just go through that survey, fill it out, and we're really just trying to learn more about you and those of you who watch this, and what you would like to see and what you've learned and how we can make all of these better and more interesting for you. The Learning Kitchen Live shows have been a really wonderful, interesting journey for all of us here at Community Servings. We enjoy doing this so much, and we want to make sure that we are doing the best we can for all of you, our viewers. So if you don't mind taking a moment to do that, we would appreciate it. Not recommended is dumping your vegetable saute all over yourself as you stir it, as I just did. All right, these are getting nice and soft, so what I'm going to add is I just have a can of rinsed and drained cannellini beans. Totally optional. You could use any bean, you could use no beans. Again, I have a lot of little things going overboard here because my pan is way too small. I'm going to let those heat up, and I'm going to try to add a little more to this tiny pan and just let this sausage get heated up. As I said, it is fully cooked already, so we just want to heat it through so it's pleasing to eat and not cold. And I just realized I did not grab a plate to plate all of this deliciousness up on, but I believe one of my colleagues standing by is going to run and get one, and by the time she gets back, I will probably, this will be done. We would love to hear from any of you in the comments if you've made polenta, if you have a favorite way of cooking cornmeal. I think this is like such a wonderful, easy food. And again, it's so versatile. You can literally put anything on it and it's going to be delicious. If you make this without the Parmesan cheese in it, I beg you to try frying it up with a tiny little bit of butter or canola oil and eating it with maple syrup for breakfast. Truly like one of the most delicious breakfasts you can ever have. If you want to get fancy, you can put an egg on it too. Well, that is mostly it. We'll see if we get a plate to put it back on in a few minutes. But what I want to also impress on you is, we try to keep Learning Kitchen Live pretty short, and sometimes we do a lot of the food prep beforehand. I literally prepped almost this entire thing and made the meal in about 15 minutes. That's how easy this was. I think the only thing I had done beforehand was I had chopped half an onion. So just a reminder that this can be so super easy and such a fast way to get dinner on the table or lunch on the table or any meal on the table. And I'm gonna thank my colleague Camila, who was teaching here 2 weeks ago, for bringing a plate to us. I'm gonna turn my burner off and serve some of this up. So there you have it. Not the most elegant serving job, but hopefully you can see how pretty and colorful and nutritious this meal can be. That's it. Cheesy polenta with sauteed vegetables with a little bit of sausage thrown in. 15 minutes and you're done. And also super affordable. So thank you again for joining us today for Learning Kitchen Live. Once again, a reminder, we would love to hear from you, so please take a few moments and fill out the survey. The link will be in the comments a little later today. Thank you so much. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks.